I spent 40 years of my life learning this harsh truth. Sacrifice has never guaranteed a man's love, especially after 60. Mature men do not fall in love with sacrifice like what you think. A woman's endless giving, her quiet endurance, her constant forgiveness, these rarely deepen his devotion. In fact, the more he receives without effort, the sooner he forgets the treasure in front of him. That is why so many men, even with loyal wives at home, wander toward women who seem soft, attentive, even naive. Not because these women are better, but because they stir in him a feeling he thought had vanished, the thrill of being needed, admired, desired once more. Welcome to Journey After 60. Today, we'll uncover 5 things no woman over 60 should ever accept from a man. Truths that may change the way you see love and the way you see yourself. Before we dive in, go ahead and tap that like button and subscribe to Journey After 60, where we uncover the quiet truths of self-worth, boundaries, and love that truly honors who you've become. So, let's begin and dive into the first thing you should never accept from any man after 60. Number 1. Never accept financial manipulation or control. They say love is about trust, but when trust becomes one-sided and tied to money, it's no longer trust. Finances are always a sensitive issue, but even more so as we grow older. They require careful consideration, open dialogue, and mutual respect. Among women over 60, this situation happens more often than we'd like to admit. A man offers financial help, takes charge of managing your spending, or claims he is protecting you from stress. At first, it seems like an act of care, but beneath the surface, something else is at work. Slowly, your financial transparency starts to fade. You stop asking questions, perhaps out of politeness, or perhaps out of fear of appearing ungrateful. True love walks beside you, without ever demanding you give up your autonomy. The Roman philosopher Seneca once wrote, "A gift consists in not what is done or given, but in the intention of the giver." And if the intention is power, not companionship, then it is not a gift at all, but a chain. Too many senior dating stories involve women quietly giving up control of their finances simply because someone appears stable, confident, or generous. But love should never feel like a transaction. Love should feel like freedom. My close friend Brenda learned this the hard way. At first, the man she was with seemed thoughtful, paying for dinners, managing expenses, offering advice for her own good. My close friend Brenda was once in this very situation. When they first met, the man made her believe she had finally found the real gentleman, the kind of alpha male with a provider mindset, someone generous and willing to take care of and shoulder the burden for the family. But as time went on, Brenda came to a different realization, that generosity came with invisible strings attached. Her important decisions, from travel plans and investments to daily spending, gradually stopped being her own. But gradually, Brenda realized she was losing control of her life, her decisions, her plans. She found herself walking down a path she hadn't chosen, and it was in that quiet realization that the chains began to show themselves. One day, Brenda set firm boundaries, insisting on maintaining her autonomy. That's when the relationship's true nature revealed itself. The generosity was merely a facade for power and control. Brenda pulled away and decided to move on. Reflecting on it later, she said, "Sometimes refusing a gift is the best way to protect yourself." You see, the wrong mindset leads to the wrong behaviors, which ultimately leads to the wrong decisions. Brenda's decision to accept financial support without questioning the true intentions behind it, thinking it was care, only masked the underlying manipulation. Dignity does not come with strings attached. Generosity, if it is genuine, should never cost you your voice or your access to your own life. Financial control may appear kind at first, but the true measure is not the money itself. It's whether you still have an equal voice, access, and respect in the relationship. It's never too late to learn the language of money, to understand your rights, and to draw clear boundaries around what you've built. When you do, you'll find yourself stronger, stepping into love with freedom and security, not with invisible chains. If you've ever felt this, either side of it, I invite you to share in the comments. You'd be surprised how many silent echoes you might stir awake in someone else. But financial control isn't the only subtle manipulation that can creep into relationships as we grow older. Sometimes it's disguised as honesty, but make no mistake, it's a disguise that hides disrespect. Number 2, never accept disrespect disguised as honesty. Did you know that nearly 70% of women over 60 have stayed silent in relationships just to keep the peace? Not because they're unsure of themselves, but because they're forced to ask, is my pain really worth it? There's a certain type of man who hides behind the mask of brutal honesty. He claims to be transparent, direct, even refreshing in his openness. But beneath that so-called honesty lies a complete lack of respect for your feelings, your worth, and sometimes your very dignity. He might say things like, "Don't be so sensitive. I've already apologized," or, "You know I'm not one to lie, so take it as it is." What he doesn't realize, or perhaps chooses not to, is that truth when spoken with the intention to hurt or belittle is not honesty at all. It's cruelty, disguised as clarity. Over the years, I've seen countless women tolerate these moments, justifying them as part of the honesty they should expect in a relationship. But here's the truth. There's a fine line between honesty and respect. True honesty doesn't sting. It doesn't tear you down. It builds you up. It should be shared in a way that fosters trust, not insecurity. If honesty leaves you feeling small or unworthy, that's not honesty, that's disrespect. Take Eleanor, a close neighbor of mine in her late 60s, a woman who had spent years building a life of peace and self-respect. When she met Henry, his honesty seemed refreshing. He would often say, "I'm just telling it like it is, Eleanor. You can handle the truth." But slowly, that truth began to erode her. He criticized her choices, her appearance, the way she spent her time. His words, wrapped in the excuse of honesty, became a constant reminder that in his eyes, she wasn't enough. Yet, she stayed, because in her mind, honesty was something she should respect, even when it hurt. One day, Eleanor had an epiphany. She realized the man who claimed to love her was actually doing the opposite. His words weren't meant to heal, they were meant to control. She finally found the courage to speak up, setting boundaries around what kind of honesty she would accept. Your truth may be yours, but it's not my truth. If honesty means disrespect, I want no part of it. Eleanor taught me that honesty must always be accompanied by respect. You are worthy of the truth, yes, but not a truth that diminishes you. A man who loves you will never use honesty as an excuse to harm you. If you've ever been on the receiving end of this kind of honesty, hear this. You are not required to accept disrespect, no matter how neatly it's wrapped in the guise of truth. Your boundaries are not just a shield, they are a declaration of self-respect. Never let anyone hide behind honesty to tear you down. As love is tested through honesty, it's also subtly warped by another force, emotional manipulation, where guilt becomes the tool for control and love becomes the currency. Number 3. Never accept emotional manipulation or guilt. Have you ever felt like you're walking on eggshells, constantly trying to avoid stepping on someone's emotional landmine? Or worse, have you ever been made to feel guilty for things that weren't really your fault? This is a subtle trap, one that many women fall into without even realizing it. Emotional manipulation, disguised as love. Emotional manipulation isn't always obvious. It's not always shouting, belittling, or overtly controlling. Sometimes it's the softer, insidious comments like, "I can't believe you're going to do that after everything I've done for you." Or, "If you really loved me, you wouldn't want to go out with your friends tonight." These words don't always sound harsh, but they carry weight. The weight of guilt, the weight of expectation. Over time, they slowly chip away at your peace, leaving you questioning your worth and your decisions. Emotional manipulators know how to play on your heartstrings. They exploit your desire to please, your need to feel loved, and your fear of losing someone. But true love doesn't demand guilt. True love isn't about controlling someone's actions or making them responsible for someone else's emotions. It's about understanding, respecting, and allowing each other to grow, both independently and together. As the Greek philosopher Epictetus once said, "No one can hurt you unless you allow them to." But emotional manipulators are incredibly subtle. They make you feel like you're agreeing willingly, while in reality, you're simply reacting to carefully constructed pressure. They use guilt, the threat of withdrawing affection, or make you feel responsible for their emotional state. Trust your intuition and hold firm to your boundaries. A man who truly loves you will respect your limits, even if he's disappointed. A manipulator will try to push you into giving in. You are not responsible for carrying someone else's emotions. You do not have to sacrifice your peace so that someone else feels comfortable. Your boundaries are not a sign of weakness. They are a declaration of your value and your autonomy. If this resonates with you, share this video with the women you love. Together, we can learn to recognize emotional manipulation and build healthier relationships. By defining our boundaries and refusing to carry guilt that doesn't belong to us, we free ourselves from toxic patterns and protect our happiness. Emotional manipulation may chip away at your peace, but the truest test of love is how it handles the fragile parts of you when you're tired, weak, or simply in need of care. Number 4. Never accept disrespect toward your health and happiness. A man who truly stands by you isn't there just when you look your best, feel full of energy, and are brimming with happiness. He's there when you're tired, when you're in pain, when you forget something, when your body needs to slow down. True love isn't about how someone treats you when you're at your peak. It's about how they stand beside you when life isn't so easy, when you're struggling, when you're vulnerable, when your body and mind need rest, not judgment. This reminds me of my cousin, Deborah, 72 years old, still sharp as ever, but living with chronic arthritis. She met a man after moving to a new retirement community. At first, he seemed thoughtful and sweet, but over time, Deborah realized he was only interested when she was cheerful and energetic. Whenever she mentioned a flare-up or had to cancel a walk, he'd say things like, "Don't let your health define who you are," or "You just need to push through it." Deborah began hiding her discomfort just to avoid hearing such comments, until one day she fell trying to keep up with him on a walk. That was a valuable lesson. True love in later years isn't pretending you're still 40. True love is finding someone who honors the stage of life you're truly in, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Your health isn't a burden, it's part of your truth. Any relationship that makes you feel like your physical needs or limitations are an inconvenience is not love. It's a performance. True love listens. It slows down when you need it. It waits without resentment. It asks how you're feeling and truly wants to know the answer. For women over 60, especially those dealing with chronic illness, menopause, fatigue, or recovery, this kind of support isn't optional, it's essential. Any man who sighs when you say you're tired, mocks your dietary changes, or forgets your medication schedule is a man who doesn't see you fully. You've spent your life caring for others. Now your body demands that you care for yourself, and any man who truly loves you will make that easier, not harder. Sometimes we hide pain not because it's small, but because we fear love will abandon us. If you've experienced this, sharing your story could be a valuable reminder for another woman today. Remember, you never have to choose between love and health. True love honors both. When someone responds to your care with care, to your slowness with patience, to your needs with tenderness, that's not just romance, it's a sanctuary. At this stage of life, love should feel easy and safe. Love is not a reason to withdraw from your community. The right kind of love makes space for your relationships with others and never forces you to choose between them. Number 5. Never accept isolation from your support network. There's a quiet danger that creeps into some relationships, often starting innocently but gradually becoming a heavy weight on your spirit. It's the subtle isolation that begins with small, seemingly innocent requests, like, "Why don't we spend more time together?" or "You don't need to see your friends that much." At first, these words may sound like concern, but over time, they start to make you feel that the relationships you've cherished for years, your friends, family, and hobbies, are less important than the one you're building with him. Slowly, you start to shrink your life, making space for someone else. Friends fade, hobbies disappear, your voice becomes quieter. For women over 60, especially those rediscovering love after years of caregiving or loss, this isolation can be hard to recognize because it's wrapped in the guise of care and affection. But true love never asks you to disappear. It invites more of you to show up. True love doesn't shrink your world, it expands it, making space for all the people and things that matter to you. The ancient philosopher Epictetus once said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it, that matters." When a man doesn't encourage you to maintain close relationships with your family, friends, or community, that's not love. It's a subtle disconnect, one that could lead to dangerous dependency over time. Imagine your life as a tapestry, woven with threads of friendship, family, and community. No thread should be pulled out to make room for another. If you're with someone who seeks to unravel those connections, that's not love, it's control. True love will respect your bonds with others, create space for them, and never demand that you choose between them and him. A man who truly loves you will respect your daughter's opinion, he will shake hands with your oldest friend, he will create space, not make excuses. And if a man makes you feel like it's us against the world, take a closer look. He may be quietly turning himself into your entire world. As we reflect on the 5 truths we've discussed today, one thing becomes clear. The love you deserve after 60 should never shrink you, silence you, or demand you sacrifice your happiness, health, or independence. True love doesn't control, manipulate, or isolate. It uplifts, respects, and embraces the fullness of who you are. All of you, not just the version of you that fits someone else's needs. If you've ever experienced any of these red flags, or if you've allowed these behaviors to subtly creep into your life without realizing the harm they cause, remember this: it's never too late to reclaim your worth. You've spent enough of your life learning valuable lessons, navigating through joy and heartache, and becoming the strong, resilient woman you are today. Your boundaries are not a wall. They are a declaration of who you are, and a reminder to the world that you will never settle for anything less than the love, respect, and happiness you've worked so hard to cultivate. True love should always make you feel seen, heard, and cherished for who you are. And if it doesn't, it's time to walk away. If something I shared today resonated with you, I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments. Your story could be the spark someone else needs to hear. We can all learn from each other, and together we can continue to grow in the wisdom of loving ourselves first. Before we wrap up, if you haven't already, tap that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more wisdom, empowerment, and reminders to cherish who you've become. Because the journey after 60 isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving. Take care of yourself, and always remember that you are worthy of the best love. the love that honors you completely. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.